We knew that we were potentially going to invade Iraq.
How did that feel, knowing that you're going to go be on the initial front for invading a country?
Wild. Yeah, I mean, we were excited. One, there was the historic nature of it. When you train to be a part of one of the most elite organizations on the planet, it's like practicing to play in a football game. You know, you want to play in the football game. We were basically hunting WMD throughout the Western Desert. This is where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing. So after they had finished plowing the berm, 160th came in and they basically smoked the 2 guard towers on either side, and we drove into Iraq. We woke up to anti-aircraft fire. Like boom, 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 boom. And it went on for like 30 minutes. And it sounded like it was just over like the next rise, like it was really close. Okay, we just invaded a country and we're at war.
Damn, that's pretty fucking cool, man. I mean, that's U.S. history.
We were chasing a bomb maker, and we didn't know really anything about him. We had like a name, we had no image, we didn't know age. And we hit this house, and there was a bunch of people in the house. I made entry into the room. This kid, to me, I wouldn't have guessed he was but 14 years old. He reached down and grabbed an AK, and I basically went from the high ready to on him to off safe, and I yelled, "Don't do it." He threw the AK on the ground. Like, he got to like here, and then he like saw me, and then he threw the AK on the ground. Well, it turns out, so that dude was like the area expert on IED construction. He's in the back of a van. They cuffed his wrists, but they didn't cuff him to the vehicle. And he goes, "See that building right there?" And the dudes that were in the truck all turned and looked to the right, and he slid the window open and hopped out, ran into the crowd. They pursued him for like 10 feet and then realized they're in a crowd of 1,000 Iraqis. So they thought better of it and they let him go. As you progress on and you get into CQB and you're doing single man room entry, 2-man, and you're progressively working up as you learn the fundamentals, you've got the guys on the catwalk above you, and I think every guy going through the course ends up with a nemesis. I don't know if they work it on amongst themselves or what. I was never an instructor, but one guy goes, "Yeah, that's my guy." And I had one in particular. We called him the AC-130 gunship because he would just hover on the catwalk and shoot 105 rounds at me. No matter what I did, I could do no right. Like, "VanSant, what are you doing? Why did you do this?" What? Just constant. It was legitimate criticism. You had to take it, learn from it, and try to not do it the next time.
Delta is the only unit that I know of, especially in the Tier 1 side of the house, that they recruit from everywhere. You can come from, correct me if I'm wrong, anywhere in the military. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, at the end of the day, your individual drive, your personal traits, your attributes, the way your mind works, I think are really what make the difference. With the right mindset and the right individual, you can teach a monkey to shoot. Pulling guys from all walks of life gives you perspective from so many different angles. It made us collectively even better. So I think that was the unit philosophy early. Hey man, a guy might be a vehicle mechanic, but he has the aptitude and the drive and the intelligence to be trained to do all these other things. Well, now you end up with a dude at the other end of the pipeline that not only is an operator, but he can take apart and put back together an engine. You can go do anything you want, training-wise. If you can dream it up and you want to go do it, you want to learn it, whatever it is, all you have to do is explain how it's going to make you a better operator.
I got engaged to her in Alaska. I wanted to do it under the Northern Lights. And we went there in August to do something with this guy, Jeff Reed. I told him what I wanted to do, and he said, "Dude, the Northern Lights do not come out
in August."
Yeah. And sure as shit, second day there, and Jeff texted me, he's like, "You're not gonna believe this shit. The Northern Lights are on like full blast
for
right
like
now."
Once in a, because every now and then they have an event,
I gotta get engaged. I gotta get the fuck out of here. Finally found a park. By that time, it's like 1:30, 2 in the morning. I get out of the car with the ring, and the fucking Northern Lights are gone. And I'm like, "Please just give me fucking 5, anybody up there, just pull some strings for me. I need 5 minutes just to get this done." I shit you not, man. Right back on. They came, went over, grabbed my wife out of the car, and
woke her up.
Yep. "Hey, wake up. Usually, from my own experience, when I see people show up mid-deployment, including myself, I've done it, and you're new, you're usually drawn to one particular person that kind of takes you under their wing. What was that for you?
It was Brad Thomas. Brad started the band Silence in the Light. Brad was a Somali vet. In '93, was in BCO 375 during the Black Hawk Down incident on October 3rd, lived through all that, and then hung around and eventually became a unit operator. I looked up to him right away. He sort of took me in right away, and we were pretty tight back then. Like, I looked up to him like a big brother, still do to this day. There's turds in every punch bowl. It's just depending on what level you're at, there's less. You know, there's good and bad in every organization. It's just, it's the percentages. You can have an impact on a single individual's life, sometimes just with the words that you use. Showing them that you care, or taking the time to listen to their story or to share yours, can make a difference in their life for, you know, fucking 10, 20 years to come. Even from all the bad, always comes something good. Lumpy was his nickname, I think, from Somalia. He took us on a P-mask run where we had like bell-fed weapons and protective masks on and running through the sand in the backwoods in North Carolina there outside the compound. And that was definitely a suck event. Like, we're just gonna go punish you and see if these guys still got them enough to keep pushing themselves every single day. The realization was, if I get through this and then get through the operator training course, I'm going to war for my country. Absolutely no doubt. The wanting to be like that force that you knew was going to take the fight to the people that were responsible for this. I think that was huge. And I don't think we talked about 9/11 at all.
If you inject good in this world, things coming back, shouting things out into the universe, and then they happen. I've been having heart problems. Probably something I need to get checked out, a lot of heartburn. And my wife actually brought it up at dinner last night. You know, that could be something a lot more serious. You've been having a lot of heartburn. I'll be damned. 12 hours later, sitting at breakfast with you, and the very first conversation we have is that you just had 3 stents put in because they found some blockages. These kind of things happen to me all the time.
There's only ever been one dev group guy that did it, and he had a break in service. It wasn't like he left dev and came to the unit. He left dev, got out, did some things. 9/11 happened, and he went, how do I get back in the fight? Some buddies of his said, you need to go to CAG, man. Like, you need to go to the unit. To date, I think he's the only dev guy that ever has done both. And a year after being there, I had an alcohol-related incident. I had a DUI. At the time, if you had an alcohol-related incident, you had to leave. Well, then I never ended up going to Ranger School. Like, it just never happened. The way path that my career took, I never did it. When you leave that, and having that been your only norm after basic training, airborne school, and all that, and then you go out to big service, and there's dudes that are overweight, and there's guys that can barely pass their push-ups or whatever on the PT test. It's a pretty eye-opening experience because I had no idea, I had no frame of reference that the rest of the Army, even in combat arms, could frankly be like that. I went to conventional. I went from 3rd Ranger Battalion to 3rd Infantry Division. So I went from being an airborne ranger serving in the regiment to a mechanized infantry battalion.
So how did you wind up in the conventional Army?
I got a DUI.
That was it.
That was it. Got a DUI, and they sent me to 3rd Infantry Division.
How did that feel when you got the word, hey, you're done here?
Pretty awful.
Blasting cap is basically about the size of a Bic pen.
Yeah.
About half the size of a Bic pen. You put it into a charge, and that's what initiates the bomb to go boom.
The larger explosive, yeah.
In SEAL training, they say that the blasting cap is very sensitive.
He's a picture of resiliency. A number of years later in the unit, he ended up getting blown up by an ID and lost half of his face, really, and went through a number of years of reconstructive surgery.
I haven't had any Rangers on yet. I understand the difference, but I think a lot of the civilian population do not understand the difference. There's tabbed Rangers and there's schoolhouse Rangers. Can you kind of clean that up a little bit?
Ranger School is an Army school. People define it as a leadership course. Ranger Regiment is a unit. When you first go to the Ranger Regiment, you are not Ranger qualified. You haven't been to Ranger School, even though you were serving in the Ranger Regiment. There's lots of guys in the service that have never been an Army Ranger that have a Ranger tab and are called Ranger qualified.
So I think I may have misspoke. I think, is it a regimental Ranger versus a tabbed Ranger?
If you ever served in the Rangers, so in the Ranger Regiment, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd Ranger Battalion, or the regiment itself, you're an Army Ranger. If you went to school but never served in the Ranger Regiment, you are Ranger qualified. And this guy came running down the road with an AK, and I was the only one that saw him. And I said to Mikey, a teammate of mine, I said, hey, there's a dude running down the road with an AK. And something about it just didn't feel right. Like, he wasn't like he was running to get in the fight. It was like he was running to come look. There was just something about his body language. And again, I'm a brand new guy in combat. And Mikey, not looking in that direction, goes, so shoot him. Well within my rights. Totally could have smoked that guy. It just didn't feel right. And so I yelled back. I go, I don't think he needs to be shot. Well, they ended up stopping him. They didn't shoot him. They just stopped him. He was like the local law enforcement. He was actually friendly to us. He's hopefully still alive today because I trusted my gut and I didn't just do the instinctive thing, which is guy with a gun running in the target area, pull the trigger.